my name is Savannah Carbolito, and I'll be giving a presentation on Rorschach as hero. The first question we ask is what makes Rorschach a hero and why? What makes Rorschach a hero is his motivation to fight for peace, justice, and truth. Rorschach goes out to find criminals and helps to protect people from being harmed in any way as much as he can. In this slide, I chose to use a scene where he tells Dan he was out investigating a routine homicide to show and emphasize that he says the word routine. This shows that he regularly tries to help people, not only because he knew who was murdered. When Rorschach teams up with the other masked heroes like the Night Owl and Silk Spectra, this shows us how he is preparing for the major challenge. I used the quote from the graphic novel to show Rorschach's feelings of him being glad to have people by his side to fight for the lives of many. The Supreme Ordeal is a very important moment that shows us an example of how Rorschach is a hero. I chose a scene where Rorschach gets interviewed by Dr. Malcolm. His flashback shows him experiencing death in two ways, one with the little girl, and two when he kills the murderer that killed the little girl. Although Rorschach kills the murderer in a vicious way, we can see it's not completely out of hatred, but also heartbreak. When Rorschach discovers how she was murdered, I believe he got so upset because he feels pain for what has happened to this innocent little girl. Next, we have the road back. I chose the example of when Rorschach and the Night Owl are on their way to Antarctica to find Veit. Rorschach writes in his journal, Dreyberg, convinced Veit's behind everything, is serious about visiting Antarctica. Owlship, capable apparently, but are we? This shows Rorschach's doubtfulness in whether their mission will be a success, but chooses to bravely proceed anyway. When Rorschach and the Night Owl finally get the chance to speak with Veit in efforts to change his mind, Veit attempts to explain his plan to get them to understand as to why he is planning to hurt so many. Rorschach is being tested and has an option to side with him or not. Of course he chooses against him, but has to pay the price of his death and dies as a heroic man. The comedian is seen as the trickster not only for his presumptuous personality, but also because he is seen stirring up trouble multiple times in the book. He also shows an independent characteristic by always having his own agenda when doing things. Adrian V is a perfect example of someone that is considered the shadow to Rorschach. He challenges Rorschach by being an opponent. V isn't completely wicked though. His reasoning to kill so many people is backed up with good intentions. Rorschach's mentor is the Night Owl because he tries to look out for Rorschach as much as he can. He seems to always have Rorschach's back and advises him often for his best interest, even though Rorschach can seem like he doesn't respect him since Night Owl retired after the Keene Act. In conclusion, Rorschach shows many traits of a hero. He dies for the truth and for justice. He'd rather give his life than to lie to the many faces of the world and cannot see eye to eye with the others. Rorschach isn't a scary being that he is portrayed to be. Ultimately, he wants peace like the other members of Watchmen, but not with the expense of lying. Thank you for listening to my presentation.